Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you try to keep someone in your life, the faster they seem to pull away? You replay conversations. You overthink every message. You wonder what you could have done differently. But here's the painful truth. It isn't rejection that's destroying your peace. It's attachment, not love, not loss. Attachment. Marcus Aurelius believed that suffering doesn't begin when someone leaves. It begins when we refuse to let them go. The strongest people aren't the ones who never lose anyone. They're the ones who never lose themselves. When someone walks away, today, you'll discover 8 timeless Stoic principles that will help you emotionally detach without becoming cold, without becoming bitter, and without losing your humanity. Because real freedom begins the moment you stop depending on someone else's presence to feel complete. Imagine waking up tomorrow and realizing that no person's silence could ruin your day. No rejection could steal your confidence. No goodbye could shake your identity. How different would your life become? Most people believe emotional detachment means not caring, but Stoicism teaches something completely different. It teaches you to care deeply without becoming emotionally imprisoned, to love without possessing, to appreciate without clinging, to give without expecting. That is real strength, and very few people ever learn it. Life has a strange way of convincing us that happiness exists somewhere outside ourselves, in another person, in a relationship, in someone's approval. For a while, that illusion feels comforting, until life reminds us that everything changes. People change, feelings change, relationships change. Sometimes, without warning, Marcus Aurelius witnessed loss, betrayal, war, disease, and death. Yet he never taught people to avoid love. He taught them to avoid dependence, because dependence is where suffering begins. Today's lesson isn't about forgetting someone, it's about remembering yourself. By the end of this video, you'll understand why emotional freedom has very little to do with the people around you, and everything to do with mastering the person within you. Let's begin. One of the greatest illusions we ever believe is that people belong to us. My partner, my best friend, my family, even the language we use creates invisible chains. But Marcus Aurelius reminds us that nothing in this world was ever truly ours. Every relationship is borrowed, never owned. Think about the ocean. Can you own the waves? Of course not. You simply enjoy them while they're there. Relationships work the same way. The moment you believe someone must stay forever, fear quietly enters your life. Fear of losing them, fear of being replaced, fear of being forgotten, and fear always destroys peace. Imagine holding water in your hands. Hold it gently, and it stays. Squeeze it tightly, and it slips away. Many relationships fail, not because love disappears, but because attachment becomes possession. The Stoics understood that every person has their own path, their own choices, their own destiny. Trying to control someone is like trying to stop the wind. You'll only exhaust yourself. Instead, learn to appreciate people without trying to own them. Love them, respect them, cherish every moment, but never forget that one day they may leave. And if they do, your life must continue, because your purpose was never meant to depend on another person's presence. The first step toward emotional freedom is accepting that people are gifts, not possessions. Most people believe their suffering comes from what other people do, but Stoicism teaches that suffering usually begins with the stories we tell ourselves. Someone doesn't reply for a few hours. Immediately, the mind starts working. They're losing interest. I must have done something wrong. They don't care anymore. Notice something. None of these thoughts are facts. They're interpretations. And interpretations have the power to imprison us. Epictetus once said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." Think about that. The message didn't hurt you. The silence didn't hurt you. Your imagination did. How many sleepless nights have been created by something that never even happened? How many friendships have ended because of assumptions instead of reality? The Stoics trained themselves to separate facts from emotions. Fact: someone walked away. Story: I'm not good enough. Fact: someone criticized you. Story: I'll never be respected. The facts are usually simple. The stories are what create suffering. The next time your mind begins to create painful explanations, pause. Ask yourself, what do I actually know? Not, what am I afraid is true? That single question can save you from hours of unnecessary pain, because freedom doesn't begin when life changes. It begins when your thinking changes. Your mind can become your greatest prison or your greatest source of peace. The choice is made, one thought at a time. Here's something most people never realize. Sometimes you don't miss the person, you miss the feeling they gave you, the attention, the excitement, the comfort, the certainty. Without noticing, you become addicted to how someone makes you feel, and like every addiction, when it's taken away, you suffer, not because you've lost love, but because your brain craves what it became dependent on. This is why some people keep returning to relationships that hurt them, not because they're happy, because they're attached. Marcus Aurelius believed that anything capable of controlling your emotional state also has power over your life. Read that again. If someone else's text message determines whether today is a good day, who is truly in control? Certainly not you. Real emotional freedom doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means your happiness is no longer held hostage by their choices. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack every single day. After a while, it feels normal. You forget what it feels like to walk freely. Emotional attachment works the same way. You carry expectations. You carry fear. You carry memories. You carry imagined futures. Eventually, you become exhausted without understanding why. Stoicism invites you to put the backpack down, not because life becomes easier, but because you finally realize you were carrying a weight that never belonged to you. Attachment whispers, "I can't live without this." Wisdom quietly replies, "You already did, before it arrived." Before we continue, I'd like you to think about one question. Which lesson has challenged you the most so far? Is it realizing that your thoughts create unnecessary suffering, or understanding that attachment can quietly become addiction? Share your answer in the comments below. Reading your experiences helps build a community where we can all learn from one another. And if these Stoic lessons are helping you see life from a different perspective, consider subscribing. Every week, we explore timeless wisdom that helps you build inner peace, emotional strength, and lasting resilience. Now, let's continue. Many people misunderstand emotional detachment. They believe that becoming detached means becoming distant, uncaring, emotionless. But that isn't Stoicism. That is fear, wearing the mask of strength. The Stoics never encouraged closing your heart. They encouraged freeing your heart. There is a profound difference. A closed heart cannot be hurt, but it also cannot truly love. A free heart loves deeply, while accepting that nothing in life is guaranteed. Imagine the sun. It gives warmth to everyone. It never asks who deserves its light. It doesn't stop shining because one person fails to appreciate it. It simply continues to be what it is. That is emotional maturity. Give kindness because kindness reflects your character, not because you expect something in return. Too many people become bitter after disappointment. They decide to trust no one, to love no one, to care about no one. But bitterness is simply another form of attachment. You're still allowing the past to control your future. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that every morning he would meet difficult people, not so he could hate them, but so he could prepare to remain his best self. Because your character should never depend on someone else's behavior. Don't become cold because someone failed to value your warmth. Remain kind, remain calm, remain strong, but learn to walk away when your peace is no longer respected. That is emotional freedom. A Stoic doesn't stop loving. A Stoic simply stops begging to be loved. One of life's most painful habits is chasing what has already decided to walk away. We chase conversations that have ended, relationships that have expired, people whose hearts have already moved on, and every step we take chasing them moves us one step further away from ourselves. Think of a butterfly. The harder you chase it, the faster it flies. But when you become still, sometimes it lands beside you. Life often works the same way. Desperation pushes people away. Peace draws the right people closer. Seneca believed that the greatest loss wasn't losing someone else. It was losing yourself, trying to keep them. Ask yourself, how many times have you changed who you really are just to avoid being abandoned? How many opinions did you silence? How many boundaries did you ignore? How many apologies did you offer for things that were never your fault? Little by little, you disappeared, not because someone forced you, but because you believed their acceptance was more valuable than your authenticity. Stoicism asks a difficult question. If becoming someone else is the price of keeping someone, have you really kept anything at all? Because the person they chose wasn't truly you. The truth is, anything that belongs in your life will never require you to abandon your principles. Respect cannot be begged for. Love cannot be forced. Loyalty cannot be negotiated. The moment you stop chasing, you create space for something healthier to enter your life. Sometimes walking away doesn't close a door, it opens one you never noticed before. The people meant for your life will never require you to lose yourself just to keep them. There is something more valuable than money, more valuable than success, even more valuable than reputation, your inner peace. Yet every single day, people trade it away for arguments that don't matter, for opinions they cannot control, for people who have already made up their minds. Marcus Aurelius understood that peace is not something the world gives you, it is something you refuse to surrender. Think of your mind as a quiet lake. When the water is still, you can see clearly, you can think clearly, you can choose wisely, but throw enough stones into that lake, and the surface becomes chaos. Most people allow anyone to throw those stones. A careless comment, a rude stranger, a disappointing message, a single criticism, and suddenly their entire day is ruined. The Stoics asked a different question. Why should I allow someone else's behavior to control my state of mind? That question changes everything, because the moment you stop reacting to every disturbance, you become far more difficult to control. Inner peace is not passive, it is disciplined. It requires choosing your battles, walking away from unnecessary conflict, refusing to carry emotions that were never yours. Not every invitation deserves your response. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. Sometimes the wisest answer is silence, not because you have nothing to say, but because your peace is worth more than proving you were right. Reflection. Protect your peace the way a king protects his kingdom. Not everyone deserves access to your mind. One of the hardest truths to accept is that life doesn't always give explanations. Some people leave without saying goodbye. Some betray you without remorse. Some misunderstand you and never return to correct their mistake. And your mind keeps searching for answers. Why? Because the human mind loves certainty. It wants every chapter to have a perfect ending. But life rarely works that way. Epictetus taught that peace begins when we stop demanding that reality match our expectations. Sometimes you will never know why someone changed, why they stopped caring, why they walked away, and perhaps you don't need to know. Imagine reading only one chapter of a book and insisting you already understand the entire story. That's what we do when we judge our lives based on a single loss. One person leaves, and we conclude, I'll always be alone. One opportunity ends, and we believe, I'll never succeed. But life is still being written. The Stoics believed that wisdom is accepting what remains hidden. Not every question needs an answer. Not every wound needs an explanation. Sometimes healing begins the moment You stop searching for closure from the person who created the pain. Give yourself the closure they never could. Accept what happened. Learn what it taught you. Then, keep walking, because every moment spent looking backward is a moment you cannot use to build the future waiting ahead. Closure is not a gift someone else gives you. It is a decision you make for yourself. By now, you've probably realized that emotional freedom isn't about changing other people. It's about changing your relationship with yourself. The final lesson brings all of these principles together because there is one quality shared by every truly free person. They no longer need the world to complete them. And once you understand why, you'll never see attachment the same way again. There is one quality that every truly free person shares. It isn't wealth. It isn't status. It isn't intelligence. It's this: they no longer expect the world to complete them. Most people spend their lives searching for someone to make them feel worthy, searching for recognition to prove they matter, searching for certainty in a world that promises none. The Stoics chose a different path. Instead of searching outward, they built inward. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet every night he reminded himself that everything he possessed could disappear: his throne, his reputation, even his own life. If everything can be taken, what remains? Character, wisdom, discipline, inner peace. Those are the only treasures no one can steal. Imagine a great oak tree standing alone on top of a hill. It does not ask the wind to be gentle. It does not ask the rain to arrive on time. It simply grows through every season. Its strength comes from its roots, not from the weather. Your life should become like that tree, rooted not in people's approval, but in your own values. When your roots grow deep, you stop fearing every storm. You stop fearing who leaves, who stays, who misunderstands you, because your stability no longer depends on them. It depends on you. That is emotional freedom. The strongest person is never the one who has everything. It is the one who has learned to remain whole, even when life takes everything away. Take a moment and think about the person you were before life taught you to doubt yourself, before rejection made you question your worth, before disappointment made you afraid to trust again. That person is still within you, covered, perhaps, wounded, perhaps, but never gone. Stoicism does not ask you to become someone new. It asks you to return to who you truly are, not the version built by fear, not the version desperate for approval, not the version that measures its value through someone else's attention, but the version that already understood. Peace comes from within. Every lesson you've heard today points toward the same truth. Freedom does not begin when life becomes easier. It begins when you stop resisting what you cannot control, when you stop chasing what wants to leave, when you stop explaining your worth to people who have already decided not to see it. One day, someone will leave. Another door will close. Another chapter will end. That day, remember this: you have survived every difficult season that once convinced you you wouldn't make it, and you will survive This one too, because your strength has never come from the people who stayed beside you. It has always come from the person who stood back up every single time life knocked them down. That person is you. Before we end, I'd like to leave you with one final question. What is one attachment you know it's time to let go of? It could be a relationship, a fear, a painful memory, or perhaps the need to be understood by everyone. Write it in the comments below. Your words may become the encouragement someone else needs today. And if these Stoic lessons have helped you see life differently, consider subscribing to QMLG Stoic. Every week, we explore timeless wisdom from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and other great Stoic thinkers to help you build unshakable discipline, lasting inner peace, and emotional resilience. Until next time, remember this: the day you stop asking the world to tell you who you are is the day you finally become free. Stay calm, stay disciplined, and keep walking toward the person you were always meant to become.